And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today we're taking a look at a game. This is not an expansion, but a full-fledged game called Mage Wars Academy. Now, you might have already played Mage Wars Arena or heard of it. That's fine, and at the end of this review, I'll talk about how this affects that game because they are somewhat compatible. But if you've never played it before, do not worry. Let me show you how this plays. You don't need to know anything about Mage Wars to play this game. Let me show you. In Mage Wars, you're one mage attacking another, and this set comes with two. It comes with Sistara, the wizard, and Kelser Grove, the beastmaster. And each of these has a card that represents that character, and then another card that has all of your stats. But more importantly, you will have a book full of spells for your character. So in this book are different types of spells, and you can use the book gives you a set that you have that's already sorted for you. You just put in the book and you can use, or you can build your own, because besides both books full of spells, the game comes with a whole bunch of other cards that you can use. Now your object is to take the other person's life down to 0, and you can see he has 24 life and this gentleman has 23 life, and you're going to keep track of those on this. Here you keep track of their mana and damage to that character. So when you play, you're going to have your mage here, and then in the row behind him, his card. Over there, you'll have your opponent that you're fighting against. You might have some starting mana. This guy has 3 starting mana, so he would start with 3, and then both of you have no damage, and you'll put this tracker down here, and you'll take your spell book. One person starts with the initiative. At the beginning of each round, it goes back and forth, and then on your turn, you can activate your mage and any creatures that you might have. Now, before you activate your mage or any creatures, you also have a quick cast spell. This is a quick action that you can take, and you turn that to use it. Otherwise, you will turn them. I'm going to say tap, even though you can't say tap. But anyway, I'm going to say tap to show that you've used them. Now, when you use a wizard or a creature, and we'll talk about creatures in a bit, you can attack someone on the other side. Your wizard can just straight up attack the other person, and you will do that by looking at their card here at the very bottom. You can see this guy here has an attack that he can make, and it can be a quick attack too, that lets him attack with 2 dice. So when I do that, I will take 2 dice and I will roll these dice, and that shows how much damage I do to my opponent that he has to take. Now, if my opponent has any armor, they will subtract that. Let's say they have 1 armor. I would do 3 minus 1. I would do 2 damage to them. The dice they'll have on them, burst symbols, these ignore armor. So let's say I had an attack that did 4 damage, and I rolled this. I would do 3 damage to my opponent, and armor wouldn't even come in the equation because that would get through it. So that's one thing you can do, is just attack your opponent. But you're probably going to want to cast spells. So you'll go through your book and look at the different spells. Some spells are equipment spells like this. Each spell has a cost in mana, and at the beginning of each round, each player has a channeling number. This guy is 7. So he gets 7 mana every round. So he started with 3, so he's 10 the first round. So he can cast this spell, which is a piece of armor, for 5 of that mana. And the mana stays from one round to the other, so you can save up to cast bigger spells. This is a quick cast spell, so he could just use this to cast it. But he also has a full action, which he could do. And this one here gives him armor +1 and regenerate +1. So I'd put that down here in the bottom. And now he has armor, and regenerate means every turn he's going to regenerate 1. But there's all different sorts of things you can put on. Here's an amulet, which helps you when you use a dissipate spell. Here's a weapon that gives you 3 dice to attack and helps out one of your enemies. Here's another weapon that it's like a boomerang, and each of the weapons have special abilities. Here's pants you could put on that give you an extra armor. Here's a cowl that gives you armor. There's lots of different things that you can add. Many of them have to do with armor, and some of them are specific to some of the characters, and it depends what you have in your book. More so than that, you have the chance to summon creatures. Now each creature, again, creatures have costs here. Creatures will have an attack on them. See, this guy here is a 3 attack, and it's sweeping, which means he can hit more than one person. He has 3 armor and 6 hit points. When creatures take damage, you will put this on them, and each turn when a creature comes into play, they start activated, but once you, unactivated, but once you activate them each turn, they can attack the other person, and they can go after and attack the mage. You get a bunch of creatures out, you can attack the opponent's mage. So once you have a couple creatures out, let's say I have out this porcupine creature here, and let's get something very wizardly out here. I'll bring out this Gorgon spear thrower. So let's say I have these people out here. So it's my turn. So what I will do is I will activate one of my people. So I might attack with my porcupine. He gets 1 dice and whatever. So he gets attacked. And then my opponent gets to do something. Then it comes back to me, and I'll quick cast something and then attack with him. Then my opponent does something, comes back to me, I'll attack with him. Or I'll summon another spell with him. And then it comes back to my opponent, back to me, etc. And we keep doing that. One of the actions your people can take is I can tap somebody and basically put guard on them. If guard is on somebody, your opponent must attack that creature. They can't attack your mage or any of your other creatures. They must attack a creature with guard on, unless they have a ranged attack, in which case they can ignore guard. If a guard creature has a quick attack, like this porcupine here, if I guard with him and someone attacks him, if he's still alive after the attack's over, he can do a counter strike and hit back. And this game comes with all sorts of different creatures. There's a mana worm, a basilisk, a lynx, Raja, Jungle's Talon, and cubs and matriarchs, and a skunk, and there's a satyr, and there's a cockatrice, and a hydra. So there's all kinds of neat things that you have in creatures. Another spell you can cast is just basically an attack spell. So this one here is 3 attack, but it also has a chance to stagger your opponent when you do this. And you can just play this, and it's basically a spell that will attack your opponent. So there's lots of different kinds of spells that you can play. There's also incantations. These are cards that you play that do a one-time thing to somebody. Like this one heals a target creature the amount rolled on 3 attack dice. Or this one here gives you 2 mana, but you can destroy target equipment that your opponent has. So there's all sorts of those. And then even more exciting, we have these spells here, these enchantments. And these can permanently, or sometimes temporarily, enchant somebody. So basically you put, each of these has 2 costs. The first cost is always 2. You pay 2 mana and you put on someone, and then you can reveal it later for the second cost. So this one here would give the creature life +2 and regenerate +1. The cost would be the creature's level. So that's pretty cool. You can do that to someone. You can give someone a Wolf Fury and make them attack better. You can give someone a Divine Reversal so that when they're attacked, they can go back. Or let's see here, you can give them Shock. If they're attacked, you can basically counter-strike them with different things. And there's all sorts of things. Here you can give them +1 armor and +2 life. And so there's lots of different enchantments, and the 2 different books that you have, you're probably going to have different things. So here we look a little bit at the Mage's book, and you'll see they have some equipment, and they have different kinds of creatures in here. And there's a lot of attack spells, because that's what the wizard would do. While the Beastmaster, and by the way, this is kind of a cool book, the Beastmaster is going to have more different types of creatures that are going to go after your opponent. So you'll see here he has some hounds, and then he has a lot of enchantments to make his creatures stronger, and maybe 1 attack spell, and that's it. So they play very differently. Again, there's other things involved in this. There's ways you can dodge with 12-sided dice. There's lots of different effects. The game comes with different effect tokens to put on people. But essentially, the first person to take the other person's life down to 0 is the winner. If you've played Mage Wars before, the cards in this set all work in Mage Wars. So you can use them in Mage Wars Arena and put them in your decks. And so some people are going to want to buy this. It's kind of cool. There's new things, new spells, there's some pretty cool creatures. That's great. It doesn't work the other way. Not everything from Mage Wars Arena works in this game, because many of those cards would be too powerful. I don't know which cards work and which ones don't. Perhaps they'll never make, maybe someone will make a list, I don't know. But for now, if you just want to play this game, this is amazing. In fact, folks, I wish this game had come out first. This is a direct competitor, really, with Magic the Gathering. I like it better. And I'll tell you why. Let's say you've never played Mage Wars before, and this is your first foray into this. Well, welcome. This is a super fun game. What's neat about this game is you can build your deck, your spell book, but you can choose the spells that you're going to use to go after your opponent. I really enjoy that. To be able to flip through and figure out what I'm going to do, to build it ahead of time and not worry, will I ever draw that card? Yeah, I don't need to put 6 of a Jaguar in my deck to make sure I get one. I might just put 1. I'm only ever going to use 1 Jaguar, maybe. Or maybe I'll put multiples. I might want to concentrate on attack spells, equipment, and as you play, you got to figure it out. But what's really neat is this game is a 30-minute game. Again, back to Mage Wars, the arena, that game was a much longer involved game. This game takes out the tactile movement of Mage Wars and brings it to just fighting the other person. Again, moving to different creatures. And so you'll feel each one's different. The Beastmaster here is trying to get out some creatures and attack the opponent. The Wizard is just throwing spells, also getting some creatures out. And you're going to find us back and forth. There's obviously luck in the game because you have the dice that you roll and the 12-sided die. But for the most part, other than the dice, the rest of the game is pure strategy. And trying to figure out what's going on is highly entertaining. Now, there is a lot of different icons and symbols on the cards, although mostly you'll find yourself looking at the number of dice they roll. And you will have to look in a book to figure out sometimes what the different things do. What does stagger do? What does stun do? What does daze do? You'll figure that out pretty quickly, and you'll find that, again, these games go by really quickly. I like the little spin dial to keep track of health, and you're going to try to pile on your opponent's mage as quickly as you can, or get creatures out there and guard, and then it's kind of like, I could take out that creature who's really driving me crazy, or I can hit the mage for a few more damage. Which one's the better maneuver? I could put some more armor on my mage, or I can put out another creature. Or I can enchant a creature I already have and make him better. Or I can play this incantation, which will just mess my opponent's plans up. Or I can hit him with an attack spell. And really, what this game has done is it's taken the complexity of Mage Wars, which was amazing and fun and terrific and wonderful, and put it into a simplified version, which is amazing and terrific and wonderful. Folks, if you've never played Mage Wars before, this is the set to start with. Try this out. It's great. If you played Mage Wars, you might find this too simple, but I am a huge Mage Wars fan, and I have to be honest, guys, I'd rather play this any day of the week. I would, because this is faster, it's simpler, it's kind of like Summoner Wars, so I can play quickly. Now I can play Mage Wars just as quickly. I mean, the longest part is maybe putting the spell books together, but leave those put together, get them out, play them, lots of fun. Artwork is fantastic, as it is in all these. The diversification in this set, like I said, it comes with 2 complete spellbooks and enough other cards to mess with and add things. And so this gets my highest recommendation. I think this is nigh on exactly what I'm looking for in a game. I like Mage Wars, but this is by far the best product that they put out. And it comes in a very small box that still manages to fit everything in it. Definitely check it out, Mage Wars Academy. Dice Tower Judgment into my collection.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door!